This was Chad's president, Chad's closest ally, friend.
Yeah, you just saw a sneak peek of what we really want to talk about today on on Africa Discourse. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Wilson Marshall. Today is all about Chad's political situation post-Idriss Deby era. Yes, the man was able to win the election, and of course, barely 2 days or a day after, something of that nature, after he was declared winner, we heard that he died, occasioned by injury. Yeah, when he went to confront or fight rebels. But so many stories are beginning to emanate, talking about the circumstances surrounding his death. We're going to take a look at that. And of course, his son, Mahatma Deby, was made a 4-star general and was asked to take over from the father's stead. That didn't go down too well with so many persons. There were some allies of Deby. They are living in Chad. The rebels also, they are saying this is a sort of coup because the constitution was suspended, and they are saying, is this a military rule or we are practicing democracy? What are the tasks before this young man? He is 37 years old, has been saddled with the responsibility of leading Chad to El Dorado amidst all this squabble. Don't forget that Chadian allies like France, the West, then support of him coming into power. He's going to stay for 18 months to really stabilize the region before an election can take place. What do you feel about all this? With me here in the studio to talk about this, I have a prof, a lecturer from Uniben, a political analyst. Join me to welcome Professor Julius Iyase. Professor, welcome to Africa Discourse.
Thank you, Wilson, for having me.
I appreciate your comment.
Good afternoon, viewers. It's a very interesting discussion we have this afternoon.
Okay, now, we are of the opinion that you know, one thing led to the other. A hero was killed in the battlefront, talking about Idriss Deby. After winning the election, has proposed that he can still contest in 2033. A day after he was announced that he was the winner, and one thing led to the other, we discovered that he was dead. News started emanating, making round. But some persons have this conspiracy theory that it might not just be that he was killed in battlefront, maybe, just maybe, his own cabinet or his own allies or his own protectors were the ones that really, you know, had a hand in his death. What do you feel about that conspiracy theory?
Particularly, I don't think so. Because if you look at Chad, you know, we're talking about Idriss Deby.
Yeah.
If you look at how he himself came to power, he was an ally, good ally of his Habri. And if you look at Chad, the only thing that is certain in Chad is uncertainty. If you, from the 1960 when they got their independence, look at all the presidents that have, you know, ascended to power there. The way it's either they are kids or a coup removes them. And so many terrible things. It's like when you come out to power in Chad, you become a seat-tight leader. So, but looking at Idris born a header, lived as a soldier, kids operated as a soldier. He was the commander of the patriotic movement, yeah, Chadian movement, and all that. So he has always led soldiers to the war front. You remember when the Chadians had to attack Boko Haram? Idris was at war. So he is known for that. And he's been there trying to help to repel the rebels. If you ask, you know what happened around the Darfur. Idris was also at war. So Idris, I don't think he's very close ally now. But even that, but it was on the war front. That was where he was killed.
Because according to conspiracy theories, because of this 2033 agenda of his, that was the reason why he was exposed. What do you feel about his agenda?
That is very correct. Because within his army, people are not, in fact, he does not have, you know, say the whole soldiers were not behind him. No, because some are disenchanted. People are not too pleased with him because of the seat title. Of course, after how many years? You came onto that power since 1990, and you want to still continue till when? You understand? So there are some other people who are aching, wanting to also be president in Chad. So that is where you in fact, it's his own friend that has formed that become the Yusuf. Is the leader of the rebels that are against him. And that was what he also did against Hissène Habré. Hissène Habré did it about Kouedaya. And Malone, for instance, you know, Felix Malone had to escape, you know, from Chad because of Hissène Habré, who was also in his cabinet. That is the way it is.
So it's like, a chain reaction, so to speak.
Exactly.
An antecedent that have been on for quite a long time in Chad.
The only thing that is certain in Chad is uncertainty. That is what it is.
And so now can one conclude that the conspiracy theory is correct?
Well,
maybe a bullet from his own ally and a friendly friend was what really did the damage.
They may have exposed him. You understand?
Yeah.
That is it.
All right. Now, let's take a look at the instance whereby his son Mahatma was made a 4-star general immediately after his death and made the head or the leader or the president of the interim government in Chad. What do you have to say about that? Is that not a breach in the constitution of democracy?
Wait now. Is that not how Idris came to power? It was after Idris came to power before he conducted the election and then installed himself. This trying to, legitimize the conspiracy theory you are talking about is that people knows if this boy remains in power, by the time elections are done, he will be installed as the president of the country, knowing fully well that the colonialists, that is the French government, are fully in support, because what those ones want is who will stabilize the Sahel region. That is the east there. And if you find what is going on, you see the exploits of Idris himself, and then they want somebody who will be able to replace Idris exactly, to be able to condone of, and dictate whatever happens in that Sahel region. You see the work that Idris did, how he went to Mali and helped to liberate the Al-Qaeda. If you ask the Nigerian government, they will tell you that they will support Idris' son, because he also is general in the army. You understand? So who else? Nobody is sure of what a pure civilian president will do. They want a military man as the president in Chad. That is, if you see the encomium that Macron of France, the president of France, if you see what he poured on Idris, you agree with me that anybody suggested from Idris' family will be accepted by them.
Now, all right. Now, I'm not saying that somewhere along the line, French, or will I say France, so to speak, is in support of his ambition to be there till 2033.
Of course, they wanted him. You see, the biggest problem in that Sahel environment is stability. There's so much. Look at now, see Sudan. Look at that, Chad, the eastern border of Chad, where you have the Darfur region. The amount of war that has been going on there. And it's only until Idris came, he went across to that country and they signed a pact. And many times, pacts have been signed and then it collapsed. But with him, he has been able to at least get the Sudanese president to come to an agreement to some extent. Even that Sudanese president visited also Chad, which never happened. For 6 years before, of ascension to power, that is, Idris, the president never came. But along the line, they were able to, to make up, and now to a great extent be able to say, look at the CAR, Central African Republic. They also their border and all that. Idris has been able to do a lot, be able to stabilize, and even went across to other countries to even help to fight, to liberate, the Islamic rebels, West Africa, be what they call them, and then the Al-Qaeda. So Idris has done quite well, and that is what France, we need all of that to be able to operate very well in Chad. If you see what happened, Chad along the line discovered oil. And they are now exporters in 2003, exporter of crude oil. And then their major marketers, or customers, so to say, is the United States of America and all that. You know that France may not be too happy with that. But since then, they have tried to, check the United States and all that. So Idris has been working very perfectly with France. And so who else would they not like more than that?
All right, now, with the arrangement right now on the ground, is that not an affront on democracy? If you want to go by the tenets of democracy, suspending the Constitution, I believe that there is a vice. If you want to follow Constitution, constitutionally speaking, is that not a slap on that word democracy?
But that is, you are very correct. What is constant in this world anymore? The issue is what is supposed to happen immediately is that he had died. Then maybe the head of the second in command or the head of Senate becomes
the acting president.
Then before elections are conducted and all that. But immediately, because it's a war zone. It's a war zone. The next person they could easily think of is a military man, a military general that will help to stabilize that country. And the fear is not to allow that place to become a playground, for all these terrorists and all that. Because there's so much arms and ammunition in that area, especially from Libya. You understand? And, when I was looking at the politics in that area, I was not thinking, where were our own people? Where were our country? So if you study, because Chad exactly replicates Nigeria. Do you understand? You have the Muslim North and the Southern Christians and all that. And the instability, how it started. Because it was in 1963 that when they banned democracy there or thereabout, that was when the Muslim North protested and trouble started. And then by 1966, there was already full-scale guerrilla warfare in that country. I was now looking at it, I said, if we had somebody who is well-grown in international politics and all that, by coming to power, you would have known how to handle, the northern Nigeria, handle our border, and know that, look, there's high level of instability in this Sahel area, because we have border with Chad. We now know what exactly would have fortified that area. Make sure, that anytime you drop anything, the next person to pick it will be a soldier. So, but we just didn't understand what to do. Because this thing, okay, now, if care is not taken, with this fight and war that has taken place, you will find that the refugees will now be pouring into Nigeria. Very soon, that is what is going to happen. Because with this problem, they have refused to accept his son now, that Mahatma.
We'll come to that. We'll come because there are so many intricacies that are happening in that country, Chad. Many pundits have been talking about it. Many persons, they've been talking about it, saying with Chad being in this situation, so many things may just go all right for Nigeria in the fight against insurgents. We'll talk about Chad, the mother country, of course, Nigeria inclusive.
Yes.
Now, let's go in depth into Chad. Now, when this pact was made, when Idris came into power, was that the same format that the son also is occupying? Just give me 18 months, then I'm going to conduct an election for us to have a smooth running, democratically elected president.
Yes.
Do you see that happening? Do you see him following the pattern of his father? Is it going to be more than 18 months? Because this is how they all start. Give us 18 months and everything will be just cook and curry. Democracy will come back the way it ought to be. Do you see Mahatma having this ambition to be a democratically elected president even while he is a military officer?
We see, power is sweet. Yeah. And those bookmakers say power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, if you taste power, Mahatma, maybe when he's not traveling on the road, and then there are retinues of orderlies and vehicles on the convoy and all that, who will want to give up that? We haven't seen. That's all. If care is not taken, and with the support of their colonial masters, French or France, you may find that that may not happen so easily, except pressure is mounted. Maybe AU or thereabout and all that. International community also mounting pressure that they must restore democracy in Chad. The father came in as a military president. After that, after a while, before he conducted the election, before he installed himself. I'm sure that Chadians knows that he's going to take the same pattern of his father. That is why they are now saying no. Some of the soldiers in their camp are saying no, and then the rebels are standing by the side and also helping to push that through. You understand? So it can happen, except that we may not, see it now, because we are not the man who saw tomorrow. So, but if you put all the dynamics from extrapolation, what the father did is what is likely to do.
All right, because now the rebels, from what they are saying, this is like a coup. Because we are practicing democracy, and of course some members of the military still have the same notion that this ought not to be. Yeah. Do you see Mahatma, Idris' son, having a peaceful reign?
How is he going to? When we have heard that some of his family members are also already on their own, or on the run, and all that. So how is it? There's no way he's not going to have any peaceful reign. In fact, his tenure will be short-lived, more than that of his father. So the best thing for him is, if I were him, in less than 3 months or thereabout, is to conduct, an election, and if any other person will, you should hand over. But what I'm saying there is that the countries like France, like the father made up with Sudan, and then with the exploits that the father had made in that area, the Sahel, look at Mali, Senegal, where his Hypocrisy is even being tried for war crimes and all that. Many of them appears to love, Idris, and so they might put support behind the son, and so that will return us back to.
All right, but now if you take a look at the country, like what you attested to, they are divided. Rebels on one hand,
yes,
some disgruntled elements in the military on the other hand,
yes,
and of course the constitution just left there at the middle.
Yes.
If you put all this together,
yeah,
do you see Chad getting involved in what their father did, talking about Idriss Deby going out there to fight, to, repel rebels, or taking care of his own terrain as a president?
He will attempt to. And if he's a smart man, he will get people who are thinking alike, around him. And then, of course, there's no way, because he knows why he is enjoying that power is because of support from people, from the colonial masters. And what the colonial masters want is stability, fight, expel any terrorists from that environment, that country, and all that. Even Cameroon, he helped Nigeria at the time, except if that is not seen differently, you understand, as if it's not actually genuine help. If it is the otherwise, from what we are seeing in this country, that is only when countries like Nigeria will be angry with him. Otherwise, he has helped us to, dispel some of these irredentists around what they call them, Madugri and all that.
Yeah, Boko Haram.
Yes. So that is just it. That is what we are. Idris might be helped to stay, might be helped to, do whom the cap fits, as it was in Nigeria or thereabout, although it never ever be. So, but they will attempt that. But the rebels appears to be strong now. That is why they were hopefully able to take out the father. If the rebel and some conspirators, they will definitely grow by the day, that the Mahatma might repeat the father, and so they will want to oust him.
All right, now as it stands right now, the rebels are talking about ceasefire. Let's come to a round table, let's talk. But the government led by Mahatma is saying no. Don't think that he should extend that olive branch to the rebels. Say, come, let's talk.
It's a very dicey meeting, that of course. Do you understand? I don't know how he's going to survive that immediately, because he needs time to study those who are with him. If they are just calling him now to come, you might be surprised that you know, there will be an implosion in his camp. That those who are with him are not actually with him, and so he might just be that very, very vulnerable, get killed very, very fast. So if I were him, I would ask that for more time. Give me time to study my cabinet.
Did you see Mahatma calling out to the colonial master of France to send in troops to protect him and his family in course of this onslaught against rebels, and of course against some persons with different mindset in his cabinet?
It has happened before. It happened. You know, I've forgotten whose regime now, whether it was Bobaya, that's Francois.
Yeah.
Royale, that is the first, when the French government helped to come. Yes, it was during his reign. You know, when there was this uprising in the Muslim North.
Yeah.
You know, against the banning of political parties and all that. You know, he requested for French army, and they came and they helped. You know, in quelling that uprising from the Muslim North. This Mahatma might do the same, and since they are favorably disposed to him, that
Macron, because
is
Macron was that defender of Idriss Deby.
Yes, and you saw the head communion now. He said he called it complete soldier, and many of them sent messages. Said they did good friends and all that. They love Idris. That is the truth, and so they will want to help the son to achieve a successful end. That is it.
Right now, some of the people that with the West coming to say, yes, Idris, thou has done well, let your son take over, that they are hypocritical in their stance about democracy. What will you say about that? For him now come to say, yes, continue. I mean, suspending the constitution.
What we are really seeing here in the world is not, you see, it's as it favors me, not as it is supposed to be. That is what we are saying here. Where democracy is set aside, people who are protagonists of democracy are not saying it doesn't really matter. So that is what we are saying here. It's double standard all over the world. That is what it means. You know, the world is not really what the world, you know, says they are. That is what I'm saying. You know, why, for instance, should anybody support a military coup in any place? So it means, in fact, they are going to encourage, I just hope that will not happen. They encourage that the coup can happen and then it can be sustained. That is the implication of all this. Yeah,
wow.
That's it.
Okay, now let's come down to the fight against insurgency, because right now, according to report, which is true, that Idriss Deby, though he is late now, has been instrumental in repelling, fighting, trying to maintain the Sahel region.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the infiltration of rebels, especially those from Libya, Boko Haram from the other end, extreme jihadists, Al-Qaeda, you just name it, he's been there. It's like, you know, a buffer.
Yes.
Now that the buffer is no longer there, what do you feel become of the fight against all these various groups?
That is the essence of retaining the sun. That is the fear that international community have, including countries like Nigeria, countries like Cameroon, countries like Senegal, Mali, where he had gone to help them in the past. So many countries. Look at Darfur, that used to be at war always with Chad. There's some relative peace in that place. The same thing with CAR. So with all of these, you know that the situation might not be the same anymore. But the suspicion is that the son might be able to step into his shoes adequately. But we hope that will be. But you find that it is never, no two persons behave the same way. But we hope that the son will be able to repeat it. But that is why the French government and so many other countries want him. Because without somebody like Idriss Deby, there's no way. In fact, we will feel the heat in Nigeria. You understand? It will be intense in almost all the countries around, because this environment we are talking about, the Sahel, is a playground for terrorists. We have seen Libya. We have seen, in fact, CAR, Central Africa, where you have the Seleka rebels and the Abalakai and all that. You are seeing what has been happening in Sudan. Sudan is a training ground. In fact, it was alleged at the time that so many of the Boko Haram people in Nigeria, members, were trained in Sudan and all that. So, if we don't have somebody, because that country buffers this environment, and they appear to be at the center, you know, that is Chad. And so, if we don't have somebody who, you know, is really interested in killing terrorism in that region or in Africa, then it will be a big problem for all the nations or countries around Charles.
All right, since talking about the fight against terrorism, now let's come straight back home to Nigeria, because Nigeria share a border also with Chad. And of course, once upon a time where Chadian soldiers were killed, Idris got so mad, he went to the war front. It was an onslaught against Boko Haram. Report has it that they started begging this man to please calm down, that they are all brothers, some of that nature. But he dealt a massive blow on them. Now, with this vacuum created, do you see security situation in Nigeria getting worse, especially in the northern region?
Excuse me, you know, if the sun does not come up stoutly as he did while he was there as president, of course, first of all, what is going to alter the demography of that environment is the what they call them now, the refugees that are going to pour in. Because as this area becomes much more unstable, you are going to find that there will be influx of refugees. And where that comes, in fact, it's not only guns you use to fight. There will be hunger and so many things that goes with war that will first of all pour into that environment in Nigeria. Then before you find the major problem of high level of insurgency. And as they are coming with arms, they are coming with ammunition. Remember that this area of our country does not have any wall. There's no protection. It's a desert area. It's a walk across. So how are you going to stop people and all that? So the only thing you must is to have somebody who is resilient in charge as president to be able to help to dispel all this. Because the insurgency in Nigeria, we know, we multiply very, very rapidly if we don't have a good replacement in charge.
All right, now you just hold on. I want to go for a break. When we return, it's all about Chad's political situation post Idriss Deby era. Many persons have been raising questions about what might be or what may happen if we are not careful about Chad's situation. Can Mahatma really take the place of his late father, Idriss Deby? We'll be right back after this break. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is Africa Discourse. We're taking a look at political situation in Chad post Idriss Deby era. Yeah, you know, Deby, one gallant soldier turned politician, was able to win an election despite the hues and cry of the people. Think of the Constitution saying that he has the power to run till 2033. The day after he was proclaimed winner, he had an encounter with insurgents that led to him being injured, and he died as a result of that injury. But many postulations have been coming up surrounding his death. Some are saying he died at the hand of his own allies because it's not like what he was talking about 2033, while others are saying it was truly a fight against the insurgents that led to his death. But right now his son, 37-year-old Mahatma Idriss Deby, he is now in charge. He was made a 4-star general to lead the Chadians, and of course the war against insurgents, the war against harsh economic realities, the war against so many things disturbing the Sahel region rests on the shoulders of this young chap. Will he be able to do what his father did, talking about, you know, bringing about the buffer in the region? We'll talk about the onslaught against insurgency. With me here in the studio is a lecturer from Unibena, Professor Julius Iyase. Prof, I really appreciate your wonderful analysis. Now, let's delve in depth into some of the opinion that since the demise of Idriss Deby is like, you know, a time of unity. They call it unholy unity amongst each terrorist group that have been fighting against Chad to really outrun the government of Chad. How do you feel about that analysis, knowing fully well that the bone, so to speak, that's been in your throat has been taken off? All will just come together and say, this is what we've been looking for. This is payback time. Do you see it happening?
No, well, the issue that they wanted Idris out.
Yeah.
Idris is now out. But then I'm sure that they're all standing in awe that Idris is being repeated in the song. And so they are watching and waiting to see whether the song will do what they want. And what they want is that a normal democracy is instituted. Let somebody else from maybe somewhere else take also onto power and all that. You understand? But what I'm seeing there is that the ethnic issues and all that is also important. The way it is in Nigeria is the way it is in Chad. You have the northern Muslims and
southern Christians. So how can he manage this?
Yes, so that is what is good. With the election goal normally, can he conduct a normal, even if he decides to conduct election very, or speedily, let me use that word. Are the colonialists likely to allow him to conduct election immediately? Because everybody, it is personal interest. The interest to the international community is who will stabilize Chad. Are you sure that everybody will stand by to watch that anybody just comes onto power there and will not be able to hold on Chad? Because the interest is that why they want the son there is because the son is also a military man. And that is the basic interest. Like you have said, what you have used before. You talked about buffer, and that is what it is. You know, somebody who will be able to buffer that region against security. Because if the region collapses, I mean, if Chad collapses, the entire Sahel region will collapse into the hands of terrorists. And that would be very, very terrible. So the watch is, that is why you notice that many of the terrorists just, okay, let's see what this young man is going to do. Let's cease fire for now. Now that we've gotten the father out, supposing he repeats what the father was doing, are you sure that the terrorists will not, they won't fold your hands? Do you understand? Yeah. If you try to, or somebody who is not in the interest of the terrorists also comes into power there, will they be pleased to wait? They will not. And all that. So many factors are going to play out. Especially, you know, I told you, money issue will come out also. Chad is now an exporter of oil. They have crude oil now and all that. So money is there. Now, otherwise, what they depended on in the past was gold and uranium and all that, of course. But now that oil is there and that money is also there, many people also want to have their hands on the pie. That is like it is in our country.
Nigeria, yeah.
So there's so many issues are going to play out, but the terrorists are just watching. Any slightest deviation from what they want, hell will be let loose.
Are you not saying that the terrorist group, they are the ones putting check and balance on democracy in Chad? Because they don't agree that, look, this is cool.
Yes.
Now that this is what the rebels are saying, that this is a coup. You just can't take out the father, so to speak, and the son comes in and they're accusing the people of having a hand in the death of the father.
Yes, of course. When we call them terror, there's something they want. There's a reason for their terrorism and all that. All they want to do is to achieve that.
to achieve democracy.
Yes, maybe.
Because if you take a look at this complex web, it's like they don't want this man to extend to 2033.
Yes.
And here is a man that was taking up the picture, and now they have a son coming to say, look, I'm going to stay instead of my father, the same reign of Deby. So can one not liken the so-called terrorist group right now, or rebels, as the, how would I put it now, avengers of democracy?
Well, you see, maybe they would have thought that through democratic means, a lily-livered person will come to power in Chad. And with a lily-livered president, then they will overrun Chad.
Yes.
And then maybe even progress into countries like Nigeria or Cameroon and all that. But if they discover also that somebody who is up to their billing comes into power in Chad, there will be, you know, it will be battle royale. That is what you are going to see. That's the way I'm viewing it. Because if you say you remove Idriss Deby because he was a bone in their neck, okay, and that they are not able to do, and then somebody else, they are happy now, and thinking that's why they cried democracy. They are thinking that there's somebody else who is weak, somebody whom they will be able to manipulate in that side to do whatever they want, comes into power. But unfortunately for them, so many other wise men, as it were, or wise presidents around them are saying, no, let's put this man's son, who is also a soldier. So the terrorists are going to go back, and they are going to regroup.
And strategize.
Yes.
Because according to them, they are the vanguard of democracy in Chad.
Yes, exactly.
What a situation.
But the reason for that is because they want somebody whom they can overrun. That's all.
All right, now, apart from insurgency, Chad is also plagued by unemployment, poverty. And many regions, they are like, you know, undergoing some terrible situation that they've been crying out for over a while now, but nobody seems to be listening to them. With all these other factors on the ground, what do you think the people should do?
First of all, is if Mahatma is smart enough, they have resources to be able to make charts, you know, a resourceful nation, a greater country. You look at what happened in Rwanda and all that, the way they were able to turn Rwanda around. If this young man is young, he has energy.
37 years.
Yes. Puts good people around him who say that he cannot turn Chad to Dubai. It's the same, their same Sahara area and all that. So it's just to have, you know, what is his focus. I know his father may have been, you know, may have deviated very much because of the extra, you know, how do I put it now, interest in fighting terrorism and all that. But this young man, if you really want to calm the nerves of the people, if you are smart enough, you just put very strong economic team. You have enough good resources. I don't think the population of the country is not that much and all that you cannot do that. You have gold, you have uranium, you now have oil. So by the time they notice that, okay, with you a few days, there are so many other international companies are pouring into Chad, wanting to invest and all that, then the people will calm down.
So you say that should focus more on the economy right now, Chad?
Yes, exactly. Now, people will put support around him and all that. Like I told you earlier, in this country, we notice so much of their influence from Chad. You know, people begging and all that. You see an elderly man with a little child and all that. You know them now. They are very distinct and all that. So, but if he's smart, he should focus on the economy and all that. But then, not take eye away from
fighting insurgents.
Yes, because that is why he's getting the support from many of the countries, that's the neighbors, and then even the colonialists.
All right. Now, what would you suggest for Nigeria to do right now? Should they send troops also to protect Idriss Deby's son, Mahatma Deby? Because after all, because the father did so much in the fight against insurgents, especially the Boko Haram insurgents in the border between Chad and Nigeria, knowing fully well that the son is threatened. Do you see Nigeria sending troops also?
That is the obvious thing to do, except if they are not, except they are interested in what is going on in Nigeria. Except if they also have finger in what is going on in Nigeria. you have somebody who is able to contain these people for you. The next thing to do is not to buffer him, to help him, to assist him to protect your borders, because the refugees are going to be more than enough for you to handle. There are things you can't chew, because now there's already population explosion in Nigeria. That is the truth. If you know many of them, if you find out, they are not even Nigerians. Many of the persons we have here, and so we're already having more than enough to chew, and yet. So the next thing to do, if they are interested, like I am saying, if they are not, tacitly behind what is going on, let them immediately raise more soldiers and send them to the Chadian border and even into Chad to assist. You understand? Raise ECOWAS, or what they call them, to help to send troops, AU, to Chad, to contain, the terrorists. Because you might just notice that, you might just be surprised that even the Darfur, the border will break down, problems will start again. You understand? Because the man who helped is no more. So if the son is not also showing interest, there will be a problem.
But suppose I say that Nigeria have so much to chew right now in the fight against insurgency, in the fight against banditry, in the fight against kidnapping. Yes. Do you see them doing that?
Excuse me. Is it that we really have enough to chew? Or that
more than enough to chew?
Or more than is that the correct situation, or is that is sincerity that is our problem? It's sincerity that is our problem now. That is the basic truth now. It's sincerity. That is what our problem is. If you see our soldiers, you look at soldiers, many of them are even afraid of themselves, because you can't be sure who is who. That is it. So that is the basic problem, first of all. Every day, look at yesterday in a church, soldiers went into a church to kill worshippers and then even kill a medical doctor alongside. How many doctors do we have in this country? And ever since, people have been talking about this same Kaduna state. Is it not enough for the federal government to have declared state of emergency in Kaduna and remove El-Rufai? So, but they will not. So that is the fear everybody is having. Are these people are they really, truly fighting insurgents, or they are aiding? So that is just it.
All right. So in this situation, what do you think Nigeria should do in this situation? Because right now it's like the buffer is trying to, gain stability. The buffer is trying to gather its own strength. The buffer is trying to study the terrain. We don't really have time to go for the borders. What should we do as a country? Because Cameroon is affected, the Nigeria Republic is affected, Nigeria is affected, Mali also, so many other regions that really gets one form of help or the other from Chad. They are all affected in the absence of Idriss Deby.
Let presidency remember that if you throw a stone into the market, you don't know who is going to land on. For when insurgents overrun Nigeria, we don't know who will die first. Maybe those who have been shouting, maybe we who have been shouting, this is what you need to do, will be even the ones that will still be alive. So they should know that. Because where are the insurgents going to look? With those who are holding Nigerian money. Money is not with me. That is just it. I will go inside my hole. I build a cave. And people live inside there. So that is not the only thing they need to do. They must, as a matter of urgency, go to help in Chad. Let them not think that they are fighting. This issue is, they should not know that. Look at what is happening in the southeast. That first we balance what the Boko Haram they are trying to do. That is what is going. That Nigeria is not just an ordinary country. The force from here will balance out what the migratory force that is coming from that area. So it is time now for them to do a rethink. Whoever was thinking that they will also be able to overrun Nigeria, but whatever thing they want to install or do here, now know that it is likely not to be possible. Nigeria is not just an easy nation like that. It has happened in Sierra, Central African Republic, the Seneca and the Abalaka rebels. Seneca rebels, because the government side, they had arms and ammunition. People were with ordinary machetes were able to face them and overrun them. It might happen here. There's going to be balance. So don't think that you are now in government, you have upper hand and all. No. What you must do now is help the young man, Mahatma, to
Idris.
stop the influx of, because we won't have enough food, first of all, that is what is going to happen, and all that. So you need to print more money, so much, to be able to contain all this.
Are you encouraging printing of money right now, Prof?
What I'm telling you is that, what I'm saying then, that you cannot generate enough fund. So you now need to, that time, you understand, 1 trailer load will be one trailer load on our Naira will be $100,000. Will be 100,000.
We pray shouldn't get to that.
Okay.
We pray shouldn't get to
It's
that.
all right.
Well, we are still observing the trend in Chad. We are looking at it intently because whatever affects them, whether you believe it or not, will affect us. Whether you're of the same mind or not, it will. Because Chad is a buffer zone, so to speak. When Idris was alive, was able to make sure he did his best possible to fight insurgents, from preventing them from entering from their own side into Nigeria. We're talking about rebels from Libya coming down there, coming down through Chad, being blocked by Idriss Deby. He's late now. What about the Boko Haram? He's been able to chase them out of Chad for the Nigerian army to have the upper hand. Knowing fully well.
Listen, Idriss Deby, I mean, Idris, didn't just stop only in Chad, trying to, you know, maintain the sovereignty of Chad. He went across. He went to Mali,
other countries
to
maintain that peace.
You know, they had the patriotic salvation movement, very strong army. They had about the best army in the Sahel. And so they go out to other countries to help to fight. And all that is, they went to Mali now. They had to disperse those, disperse what they call them, the Al Qaeda in that place. The same thing in Libya and all that. They did it in I've told you about
Central African Republic also.
and all that.
Now,
so
with this man out of the picture, what do you think will happen?
Now, well, in the local balance. That is just it.
All right, we'll pray that the son is able to really fit the father's shoe to do what the father did. If not, every country protect your borders. I think that should be the lesson right now. Thank you so much, Prof. I appreciate your wonderful analysis. Thank you so much for coming. We are still watching. Let's see how Mahatma Idris, Gandhi just said, can you imagine that Mahatma Idris, Idriss Deby will really take care of Chad and, of course, the neighboring countries that his father was able to put to rest because of his activities against insurgencies. Bye for now.